Me versus you and you know they picking. Cheap and expensive, you know the difference. You know that it's hitting, you know what it's giving. Hair, nails, bare. I can survive in the coldest conditions. Hoes very low, they told me they spinning. This is wash, soap in the dishes.
Welcome back to the channel. It is your girl Showtime with Jazz. As you guys read by the title, today we're going to be discussing Natureboy and his antics once again. This is the season finale, y'all. I'm making a second video because Hulu docuseries left out a lot of stuff. I watched 42 out of the 46 parts of the Hood Horrors documentary on YouTube. Yeah, let's just say I had a headache. I was so drained watching it, and I don't understand how them as cult members did it, and I just was a viewer. But anyway, let's just get into this video because this is gonna be a long one. So we get to know a lot more about his childhood. At 2 years old, him and his siblings got put into the system due to neglect since his mother was on drugs, and just a year later she would from an overdose. He never got a real chance to have a bond with his biological mother and father. He has been in the system since 2 years old. All of his other siblings end up getting split up besides him and his brother Leo. They stayed together up until the system decided to split them up due to them always fighting. I don't understand why. I guess that was their solution to keep them from fighting. Also, they were always getting kicked out of foster homes. So he ended up getting shipped off to Queens, New York to live with Mr. and Mrs. Pope. This is when he started exploring his sexuality. He would be humping on other kids. He would let a dog lick his penis. When the dog did that, he said he enjoyed it. He admitted to being sexually abused, which makes sense to everything that he later goes on to do to other people. Mr. Pope would allegedly force the kids to do sexual things to each other while he watched and took pictures. He did tell CPS, and he was able to get removed from the home. I don't know if he was able to get them excommunicado from the fostering community, but I doubt it. When he got removed and placed into another home, his brother also came with him, and they went to the Bronx. They were adopted by the Bishops, and this is when they changed their last name to Bishop. They were both diagnosed with behavioral disorders and were put on medication. He claimed he didn't need the medicine and that they were just doing it for a check because they also got put into special ed classes. But we know that this man need all types of medication because of the looniness that's in his head. Mr. and Mrs. Bishop owned a church, so that means they were in church faithfully. Elio thought whippings were a form of abuse. His brother understood that I did something bad, so this is just the consequences of my actions, and I know not to do that next time. He started running away, was in and out of jail at this time for breaking into cars and houses. 14 years old, he got sentenced to 5 years in juvie prison. While in jail, he attempted suicide. He was going through all of these mental health crises, so eventually they decided to transfer him over to a mental health institution for 6 months. He ended up getting out, reuniting with his siblings. He did go back to stay with the Bishops for a while, but got kicked out after arguing with them, probably because he wasn't following their damn rules. So in 2001, he decided to move to Philly, and from there, that's when he joined the Army, but ended up getting honorably discharged from the Army due to his mental health issues in the past. They found out about his history, told him he had to get up out of there, and this is right before the Iraqi war. So in his eyes, a win was a win. So after Philly, him and his brother ended up going back to New York to live with their sister Nisha, and they were only there a few months. After getting put out of their sister house in New York, they decided to go move with their other sister Tanya in Augusta, Georgia. That didn't last long because one day while they were arguing, Natureboy decided to punch his sister in the face. So she kicked him out. Now he's homeless on the street. Him and his friend reconnected. His friend just so happened to have moved to Atlanta recently and offered him to come stay with him for a couple of months until he got back on his feet in Atlanta. So that's what he did. But as you guys see, he has always been violent towards women before the cult even formed. While in Atlanta, he was using women for a place to stay, using their cars. Wherever he could get out of a woman, he definitely was getting it up out of them. He wanted to make fast money, so he started selling as a side hustle. And since that wasn't making enough money, he decided to get into stripping. And that's when he realized I could be a male gay stripper and make even more money. So he stopped being a regular male stripper and became a gay male stripper. Since he was addicted to the fast money, he decided to take it up a notch and become a gay male escort. And he even did a gay and in my opinion, he was a who was gay for pay. After doing the gay he definitely regretted it later on because it would come to bite him in the ass. He admitted to liking trans women. He was a homosexual, so he was willing to do any and everything for a piece of change and a place to stay. So he has 2 baby mamas, and they both gave him his first 2 sons. Him and his second baby mama was in a relationship. He became very abusive towards her. Her name is WAYYY. One of the major incidents that happened was they had went out to the nightclub one night. They got into it. She ended up leaving and going home. And this crazy man came to her house, was stabbing her tires up, trying to get her to come outside. She was like, no, I'm not coming outside because I know how you get when you drink and I'm not about to deal with that tonight. Somehow he's able to pull her out the house. He starts punching her face in, and out of nowhere the police come. And thank God they did, because he said that he was trying to kill that woman. So she had to go to the hospital. He was arrested, obviously. So when it was time to go to court for the case, he was telling the judge that he would never do this again and how he wants to be a better man. He wants to change his life around, spilling bullshit out, and somehow they believed him. I don't know how, I don't know why, but he convinced the judge to let him off. Then on top of that, WAYYY took responsibility for half of the stuff that happened. Yeah, so all he got sentenced was a fine and to take anger management classes. A year later, she still had the bruises on her face, and he would force her to put on makeup because he was tired of looking at the bruises that he put on her face. A year later, that's how bad he beat her up. They ended up getting back together. He said he stopped stripping and escorting and was only focusing on him and his family. I doubt he was doing that because he was addicted to the money. And a like that, not about to change the way they making money that quick. He ended up getting his barber license and started renting out hotel rooms so he can cut people's hair. His main clientele were gay men, and he said he did that because gay men like to get their hair cut, and he knew that's the way he could make money fast. Charging $40 per head, and he's doing like 5-6 heads a day. He's making fast money again. Then on top of that, he would flirt with these men, trying to add a little judge on it, so maybe they would tip him an extra $20. So he's making between $40 to $60 per haircut. Mike Brown is one of his old tricks from his stripping / escorting days. Mike Brown is some sort of pastor. Elio was putting it down so good, possibly, because he said that was just like a father figure to him. It didn't give fatherly, but to each his own. This man was giving him a $3,000 monthly allowance. On top of that, he was authorized to use this man's credit cards. Then, on top of all of that, he helped Eligio open his own barbershop. All this man had to do was show a business plan and find a location. And with that, he paid for the shop. He bought this man a barbershop. Now, allegedly, they saying there was a couple. It's given there was a couple, but obviously they couldn't be a couple out loud because 1, that man was a pastor, and then 2, Natureboy was still with his second baby mama, WAYYY. 2014 is when he decided to start the movement of moving closer to nature. This is when the loneliness starts to kick in slowly. So it's like slowly turning up. He bought an RV with the money he was making from the barbershop because he had people worked in his barbershop. So obviously he's getting a cut of whatever they're making on top of everything else. So he was able to buy an RV with the money he was making from the barbershop. So him, his baby mama, WAYYY, and their son could live on the road. They did it. Didn't last long because he ended up having to come back because the barbershop started to go under while he was away. In my opinion, he should have just kept doing RVing instead of the bullshit that he decided to do. Now that he's back in the barbershop, he's on this nature movement. He starts to do teachings in his barbershop. So people got mad, and when people didn't care, he got mad. So we have to realize it's a bunch of coming to the barbershop to talk about God knows what they talk about in barbershops. Probably watch the games. Just get away from outside life. And here you come trying to preach about nature. Them I want to hear that. He stopped playing the games in the barbershop. He started having all of these crazy dreams, and this is when the craziness started to seep out. During this time, his older sister, Tanya, passed away, the one he was living with in Augusta. So after burying his sister, he decided that's when he wanted to stop taking showers. Obviously, he was losing his mind, and everybody saw it happening, but did nothing to stop it. Didn't try to get him no help. Didn't try to see if he needed to take medication. He needed that medicine. He needed to go get diagnosed with something. Instead, Maisha said, you know what? This craziness is a bit too much for me. The abuse was a lot, but this craziness is where I draw the line at. And she took her and her son to South Carolina with her family. Homeless, once again, he was sleeping in a friend's room that he was renting out. His bed was on the floor, y'all. Him and young Pharaoh somehow got in connection with each other, chopped it up, made a little bit of a connection, some sort of friendship. He ended up driving to New York to chill with young Pharaoh. Young Pharaoh had a Sonata interview. This was the end of their friendship that they had. Young Pharaoh let Alio come upstairs because he didn't want him sitting out in the car. This very interview is the reason why young Pharaoh hates Natureboy. The interviewer decided to start asking Natureboy questions first instead of young Pharaoh, even though it was young Pharaoh's interview originally. This is where his ideology comes to play in. He starts talking about getting to the equator between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn.
Bro, what the f is you even talking about, bro?
Going back to the place it all started, Africa. Literally, that was the whole point. Just when the interview couldn't get any worse, because at this point, Natureboy and young Pharaoh were going back and forth, low-key getting into it mid-interview. Somebody messy self-called and said that is gay, and he made the interview take a sharp left turn. When he went back to Atlanta, he had stopped eating vegetables. He had been stopped eating meat long before. So now, on top of not eating meat, he's not eating vegetables. The only thing he eating is fruit. He didn't want to hurt anything or anybody no more, which we know is all a lie because this is in jail for his crimes. And he obviously started going live on Facebook. This is when Facebook Live started popping off. And he would put his lives on YouTube. And he would also make YouTube videos. 2016 is when he started showing his fans that he was preparing to head out to South America. One of his followers ended up offering her brother's land that was in Honduras, which is in Central America. But since it was free, he was just going to head there instead. He's a homosexual, so anything free, that's where he's going to go. Before leaving, he went to Ohio to visit Mike Brown for a couple weeks, y'all. I think he just put it down on that man to secure his $3,000 monthly allowance in the bag. He wanted to make sure that was gonna keep coming, even though he was no longer gonna be in the country. The three who met him at the airport was Omeg, Key, and Starlight. Starlight was the only who came into this atmosphere knowing some type of something. He knew how to speak fluent Spanish. Nobody else knew how to speak Spanish. How are you going to a Spanish speaking country and not know a lick of Spanish?
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
He came with some money. He had that bag on him. He gave $20,000 to Natureboy to fund the four of them lifestyle. The goal was originally to create an eco village, so that's why they all came and wanted to stay and build this ecosystem out in Honduras. When they made it to the land that his fan offered up to them, he said that it wasn't up to his standard, so they end up leaving the free property to go live in a hotel for a couple of weeks until they found a property that he said was up to his standards. You're supposed to be in nature. I understand the house matter, but you're going down the road of sleeping outside, so why should the house matter? You had free land. All you had to do was renovate 2 houses on the land. It was all yours, basically. This said he was too bougie for that. When it became enough women, it's when he started to introduce polygamy into the cult. He ain't waste no time. He said, it's 5 here. Let me tell you guys about polygamy and how I want that to be in this cult. His first wife was Yaya. She's from Louisiana. You guys can tell he loves him some Louisiana women, or should I say Louisiana women. the slow ones love them some Natureboy. So this is where his cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs brain started to make me lose brain cells just listening to him talk. He said sticking his peen in these women is like sticking a USB into a computer. So he's importing the knowledge directly into them by sticking his peen in them.
Right.
The signs were always there. Now, while out in Honduras, they ended up getting robbed in broad daylight. And do you know this was the first person to run as they were getting robbed? They had to leave everything behind. They had bought a van, they had bought dirt bikes, they had spent hella money and had to leave all of that behind because they had got robbed and didn't feel safe in Honduras no more. They wasted that boy key money so fast. They end up going to Costa Rica, and the key admitted to giving Natureboy over $300,000 like a goofy. I'm going to be saying a couple of new members' names because some things that happen are very important and you need to know their names. Serenity joined the cult, became Natureboy's second wife. Yaya ends up leaving because she couldn't get with the polygamy and he was abusive towards her. As you can see from the beginning of the cult, most of these women couldn't get G with the polygamy. Another woman joins, Pocahontas. She becomes his wife. Now, at this time, he didn't want no kids. So if you got pregnant, it was a curse from God. Up until Pocahontas got pregnant by him. And then that's when the whole ideal of the women, your job is to get pregnant and produce these babies. Until it turned into get pregnant by him and produce his babies. This was the first of the many wild things he has said on the internet for the world to see. He said he doesn't let other people's kids around him because he likes to be naked. He admits to having sex in front of his kids.
Absolutely disgusting, by the way.
If you thought that was wild, he said one time after him and his baby mom, he didn't say which one, got done having sex, he said his son grabbed his peen and start playing with it, and he let him.
Lock 'em up.
Oh, man.
Lock 'em up.
And this is the video that everybody talks about every time they call the police. Every country he went to, this is why he has child predator allegations. Rambo joins. Now he is the Spanish translator. I'm assuming Starlight left. Starlight must have seen the goofy shit that was going on and immediately packed his and went home. Y'all remember my first video, the whole Costa Rica police brutality situation? The 6 members that had got arrested had to stay in jail for a month because they didn't have the proper stamps. So everybody who had the proper stamps were able to go free and go back to the house. Wafflegate is the most unhinged, pettiest you gonna hear right now. While in jail in Costa Rica, he calls the house to talk to the folks. Pocahontas, his first wife, who is pregnant by the way, said, "Hey Rambo, get the phone, I'm trying to eat." He got mad because she didn't want to talk to him while she's trying to feed her baby. The food that she was eating was waffles. Once he found out she was eating waffles, he went on a tangent about how they don't eat waffles, they don't eat that type of supposed to be eaten from nature. So after the tangent happened, he decides to remove her as his wife. So now he's down to 1 wife. Later on, this was eating waffles with his feet kicked up, had a whole waffle maker. They couldn't even leave Costa Rica in peace. They were so funky that spirits refused to fly them back. And I know he happy spirits shut down. When they told him that they were funky and they couldn't get on the plane, his exact words were, they don't even eat anything that stinks, so it's no way they could stink. Some airlines flew them back. I know them people would. When they head back to the States, they landed in Florida. From Florida, they started hopping all over the States. If matters couldn't get any worse when it comes to him and all the weird stuff he was saying about children, he makes it 10 times worse by saying that he said children getting is a good thing.
You done lost your damn mind.
Pocahontas tried to defend him just to get kicked out after defending him. They ended up going to South Carolina, yes, him and his cult members, to visit Maisha and his son. Y'all probably wondering, did she know about all the crazy things he was saying about kids? Yes, she just didn't care. And she explained it away as him being misunderstood,
Lock 'em up.
enabling his sick behavior. She let this take her son with him and his cult members to their next destination out the country. From South Carolina, they end up going to Texas. While in Texas, he started telling folks not to shower with tap water, but use Fiji water instead. If you decide to brush your teeth, use Fiji water as well too. I can't use a little Great Value bottle of water to wash my skin. It gotta be Fiji. He claimed that the tap water was destroying the DNA in melanin skin. Were literally not showering. They wasn't using Fiji water either. They just decided to stop showering altogether. While in Texas, young Pharaoh somehow found out about Eligio gay porn that he did and put it on blast. He said that wasn't him.
Right.
CBS did come out because they kept getting calls about him. They investigated him about all the crazy stuff that he was saying about kids online. They even had to interview his son. Nothing happened after that. It's kind of like they wiped their hands with it. They went to Belize. One of the wives who had joined escaped throughout the night. So many were escaping in the middle of the night. It made no sense. He changed the name from Melanation to Carbonation because he was rebranding. That rebrand ain't last all but a second, because he immediately started being mean to his son. And not only that, he was showing his son outside in the woods.
Be nice. I'm finding it.
Somehow the word got around Belize that they had a cult in their city, so they had to get the especially after they had got into it with one of the locals. Now we're going to talk about Mama Dia. And Mama Dia is a sweet older lady who had joined Carbonation. She joined because she thought what he was preaching and teaching out in the world was something she could get behind. When she joined, they were out in Belize. He didn't even have the audacity to come meet her at the airport and greet her like he do with everybody else. He made her take a taxi to where they were. Coming in, she had a heart condition. She joined because they were promoting not taking medicine and not listening to the doctors. When they tell you something's wrong with you, all you have to do is ground yourself, get back to nature, and all of that would be healed. When she joined, obviously they do the bag checks. They seen she had medicine in there. They told her she had to go ask Natureboy about it. They had a private conversation, and then after that, she never spoke about the medicine again. She did admit she was still taking her heart medicine. Every once in a while, she would be skipping days, or she would take half the pill. Whenever she felt like she needed her medicine is the only time she took her medicine. She lasted only 3 weeks with Carbonation before she unfortunately passed away. They popping fireworks. He lied and said he ain't know nothing about her heart condition when everybody said this knew about her heart condition. When she died, it affected the group a lot. From Belize, they decided to take a 2-week vacation in Cancun. Maisha said she was done with all of the he was doing, all of the running around he was doing with their kid. Maisha went and got her son from Cancun because all of the antics he was pulling. He did try to say, oh, we're leaving today. And she was like, no, stay right there. I'm coming to get my son. Wherever y'all going after that, y'all can go. But I'm coming to get my son. With them outside, the neighbors started to complain, which led to getting the authorities involved, ruining the environment with their shit back in Belize. So they were getting in trouble while they were in Cancun. Natural came into Carbonation with he did bring a female companion with him named Mama Nina. So I'm assuming she probably had herpes too. He said once he found out about he tried to find a cure because his ex-girlfriend gave it to him. Thought he got healed from Natureboy's knowledge.
I beg your pardon?
Everybody in this cult were slower than molasses. He wasn't the only one who came into the cult with some type of herpes or STD. Something was wrong with some of these people, and Natureboy knew it before accepting them into the cult. They were just spreading left and right and not getting treated for it.
Absolutely disgusting, by the way.
Palenque is where a lot of these big situations happen because they were in Palenque for so long. The diet that I talked about in my last video about Nature Boy, the diet was called a B6 diet. From 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. they ate nuts, drunk tea, water, and fruit. At 12 p.m. is when they had a meal. Anything that grew from the earth, they made it into a meal. From 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. they would eat fruit, nuts, drink water, and tea. That was it. He was telling before you join, you have to isolate yourself between 30 and 90 days. In this isolation period, you had to stop showering, and if it was possible, start outside. His crazy started wearing American Indian headdresses and changed his name from Nature Boy to Chi because his soul is from Palenque. Mind you, this nigga don't speak a lick of Spanish. He ain't no native to Palenque. This nigga is just a nigga from Harlem. Ash Divine ended up telling the world that Mama Dia passed away and that basically Nature Boy is the reasoning behind it. And this is the only reason why he came onto the internet and finally addressed her death. There's so many people in and out of this cult. Joy ends up joining to be his second wife. When she told this man she was sexually assaulted before joining, he got mad at her for telling him that. But we all know that he said that women like to be and sexually harassed and assaulted. He told her that man was just young and dumb and you got too drunk and decided you regretted what happened and said that you had been sexually assaulted. He told her what happened to her, and in order to get him to leave her alone, she just agreed. That's what happened.
It's a trap.
Aya slow ends up joining as another one of his wives. Before joining, she was being pimped out by her boyfriend. Somebody had did a fraudulent check and put it in her account, so her account was in the negative. She left her son behind to join said cult and ain't see nothing wrong with it, and she's still in the cult till this day as his wife. The internet started calling her beloved. The way she talks irritates me. When the members approached him, they had to kneel at this point. Before you walked away, you had to bow. Some of these men actually left when Nature Boy tried to take their women from them. He finally admitted to being in the gay but it was like, it was crystal clear it was you. Amos was waiting on his heart heavy. After admitting to it, he did an interview with Sonetta. He said he wasn't gay. Sexuality is a choice. Obviously, him admitting that after lying for so long had the internet in a frenzy. The black conscious community turned their back on him. After he came out is when a lot of his members came out and started telling their deepest, darkest secrets. We didn't need to know none of this, but they decided to let us know that a lot of the men confessed to doing things with men before. A lot of these people were okay with the stuff he was doing because they're the same person in a different font. Aaron, Crazy Eyes, said the most outrageous ever. He admitted to sexually assaulting his sisters while he was drunk. He tried to excuse it as if he didn't know if it was a dream because he didn't really remember it. And my thing is, if you didn't know if it was real or if it was a dream, why are you telling the world that? And then not only that, he gonna have the nerve to fix his mouth and say he looked too good and have too pretty of eyes to be a child Caliber, another one of the niggas, admitted to molest his cousin while she was sleeping.
Lock 'em up.
The cult was full of a bunch of sexually suppressed and predatory men. When Kendra found out that she was pregnant, she knew it was Aaron's baby, but somehow in Nature Boy's head, it's either one of our babies. This got on the internet and told his followers, this don't know who her baby daddy is. It's either me or it's Aaron. The women who are leaving their kids behind in Babylon were getting pregnant in this cult, and I don't know why. A lot of his teachings came from basic science and Dr. Sebi. He did criticize Dr. Sebi for like making a profit off of the products that he was selling, but then had to apologize publicly because Dr. Sebi's family got on his ass. Serenity, y'all remember her. She came in with a autoimmune deficiency. I don't know what that is. She had it since she was a child. He knew this. So when he decided he didn't like her no more and he wanted her to leave the cult, he started talking shit about her to someone outside of the cult. Told them that she had HIV. And when it got exposed, he decided to have a sit down and apologize to her about saying that, because he knew she didn't have HIV. But when he did it, the damage was already done. All of this happened right after she had her baby a month premature due to her losing hella weight from not properly eating, not properly sleeping, not properly taking care of her body. She lost so much weight, she looked sick. Young Pharaoh started to mention about her placenta being affected. Young Pharaoh found out where they were staying, put their address out on the internet. People started calling the owner. When that ain't work, they started calling the embassy and the Mexican authority on that. Natureboy had old posts on Facebook talking about how HIV wasn't real. He knew it wasn't real because he had had sex with multiple people and he had never got it. This is what made them assume that he had it. It caused the internet to go into another frenzy about this nigga. He did a test on live to prove that he didn't have it, but the nigga was nervous the whole time taking the test. He seemed more shocked that he didn't have it than we were. Pocahontas told Ash Devine about Mike Brown, how he was giving Natureboy a monthly allowance. She also told her about Wafflegate and how he kicked her out the cult while she was pregnant with his child. So after it got exposed, he almost lost his job. He had to cut ties with Natureboy. He cut the money off. So to smooth everything over and to get the money and the checks coming back, he tried to say that Mike Brown was just a father figure to him, nothing more, nothing less. In the midst of all of this girl went to Young Pharaoh and said that she had sent Natureboy a explicit picture when she was a minor. She had showed the messages, but obviously she blanked out the picture. Natureboy definitely came onto the internet and proved that the girl was lying about that. She had sent pictures of earrings to Natureboy and he had called them beautiful, and they were for Velvet. Efru joins the cult a couple days after Velvet gave birth. She is still his wife to this day. In this cult, two light-skinned people couldn't be together. It had to be one dark skin, one light skin. Aya was giving the breast milk that she had produced from her child to baby Eliana. Y'all know how Velvet always wanted to leave and she'll pretend to leave and then come back. Why one time she left, he made her leave the baby behind. This with his sick and twisted, perverted was on live talking about he didn't know what he was gonna feed the baby, and he made a joke about feeding baby Eliana his
It's a trap. Nope, it's a trap, and I'm not gonna react to this book.
Pee-wee dumbass decides to defend him and say that it was a joke and he didn't mean it like that. What the is funny about anything that he has said? One day, Velvet is minding her business. This gets mad because he thought Velvet and Aaron had something going on, and just at the thought of Aaron looking at Velvet made him mad, and he caused a whole scene. After one argument, she cut all her hair off and he made everybody else cut their hair off too, but allegedly they had lice. The Mexican authorities came and did an investigation about all the complaints they have received. After the investigation, these niggas took pictures with Natureboy. One of the members who came in got his van fixed and dipped. Once the money ran out, this turned into a preacher real quick. Velvet dad and stepmom came to Mexico to see what was up because they felt like he was holding Velvet and the baby hostage. Velvet and Natureboy was taking the baby to the doctor, and her dad and stepmom popped up on them. Do you know how they found out where they were? Because the was on live. Once Velvet dad had spent time with Velvet and the baby and stuff, he went to the police. He did say Natureboy had motion out in Palenque. They didn't believe him, but eventually they raided the house, took everything. Originally, they were supposed to go back to Costa Rica, even though some of them are banned from Costa Rica. Natureboy didn't give a about being banned. He wanted to go back to Costa Rica, but whoever their connection was in Costa Rica ghosted them, so they had to settle for Nicaragua. A white woman named Khadijah offered to buy land for the group because she felt bad. She was a dummy. But before she came, the police came and did a welfare check because the neighbors heard and was complaining about hearing kids screaming. He got took into custody and was in jail. The cult was definitely protesting for his to get up out of there instead of leaving and going back home before it was too late and they were too deep into this. Khadijah ended up still coming out there even though he was in jail. She was funding these people's lifestyle while he was in jail. She decided to play mommy for whatever reason. She only lasted 10 days. She went back to the States. She still wanted to help the group until he was released. He was in jail for 3 weeks, got released only because he agreed to leave out of the country. Khadijah bought this man a plane ticket back to the States. Not only him, but Velvet too. They stayed out in the States for a week before Velvet started to get jealous of Khadijah. He wanted Khadijah to be one of his wives. The breaking point for Khadijah was when he made Velvet give him head in the room in front of her and baby Eliana.
Absolutely disgusting, by the way. I almost puked, but let me stay focused.
They ended up going to Panama City. Khadijah said, oh baby, I'm not buying y'all no land no more, and dipped. Everybody who was paying this man, giving this man donations, encouraging him, all of the he was doing need to be locked up.
Lock 'em up.
When Velvet went home, like left the cult and went back to the States, turned the baby. For the first time, she ain't talked to the she covered his name up on her booty. She had me, but then she lost me because she got on live and was talking so bad about the women as if she wasn't a part of the shit that they're going through not too long ago. What really made him crash out was her covering up his tattoo. He couldn't believe she did that.
I can't believe it, Jesus. I can't believe it, Jesus.
They had a woman, her name was Sunny. She was pregnant. She was about 4 months pregnant. They were at this little waterfall and everybody was jumping off the cliff. He wanted her to jump off the cliff at 4 months pregnant. She didn't do it. Do you know who jumped off the cliff at 2 months pregnant? Afro, because she was pregnant by Caliber and they want the damn baby. After Sunny not jumping off the cliff, he didn't like her anymore and he wanted to kick her out because she was doubting whatever he had going on. Sorry to all the New Orleans women out there, but Velvet and Malia, who was getting ready to join the cult, makes y'all look bad. Before joining Carbonation, Malia was losing her damn mind. She started isolating herself from her family, including her 1-year-old son. Afro ends up miscarrying. One girl, her name was Bambi, she joined. She left behind 4 kids. One of her kids was mentally handicapped. Once Natureboy found that out, since he wasn't attracted to her, he said, you gotta get your shit and go back to Babylon. Another woman ends up joining. Her name is Zoka. She joins to be Solar's direct. Once Natureboy laid eyes on her, he said, oh no, that's my wife. So Solar, you gotta get the on. I felt so bad for Solar because he stayed taking his girls. Solar tried to stand on business, but he couldn't because he's scared of Natureboy. She was crowned the new chiefess of Carbonation. The other women ain't like that because this bitch just came here. You ain't never offered none of us that position, so what the so special about this hoe that she gets the position? Velvet decides, let me shake the scene up a little bit, and links with Omeg and puts it on the internet, pretending like she was changing, like she was never going back, to turn around and go back to the cult. When Malia joined, he treated her so bad, it was so hard to watch. Not only was he treating her bad, he was making everybody else treat her bad. Their house got raided once again and they got deported once again. With them having all these babies in these different countries and not knowing the law, when Joy tried to leave, she had just had her baby by Musa. When she tried to leave, she couldn't take the baby with her because she needed Musa to sign paperwork in order to let her take the baby back to the States with her. They had this girl hostage for 12 hours. This is before they got raided. She was on live showing that he had took her phone chip, he had took her money. He wasn't trying to give her nothing because she had his passport, and she said, I'm not giving you your passport until you give me my phone chip and my money. Natureboy took Velvet, the baby, in the van and dipped out. They ended up dropping her off. He said he was gonna sign the papers. Musa didn't sign the papers and left her and the baby stranded for 6 days before he decided to sign the papers. He was putting people in the closet for days. I'm thinking it's for a couple hours. Nah, You was in the closet for days and they could only come out to use the bathroom. The first victim of the closet punishment was Loyal. Loyal was 18 years old when he joined. Unfortunately, he was murdered when he went back home for good, 22 years old. He was able to get justice, but he's so sad because he didn't get a chance to live a real adult life. RIP to Mama Dia and Loyal. By this time, he was no longer following the B6 diet. He was eating fish, steak, chicken, meat at this point. Everybody else had to eat vegetables and fruits and nuts. So after being deported from Panama City, they decide to go back to Atlanta. Afro ends up getting pregnant again by Caliber. Natureboy was mad because he was like, bitch, you know you was gonna come back to me eventually, so why would you get pregnant by him again? Natureboy wanted to take Afro back as his wife. Caliber didn't like that, so he decided to leave. When he left, she decided to the baby because Caliber left and she was back with Natureboy, but in actuality it's because Natureboy wanted her to abort the baby. Nefertiti is an interesting character. She's the only woman who didn't join to be one of Natureboy's women. She came to be with Tron. She also was a single mother who left her child behind. She ended up leaving not too long after joining because her and the other wives got into it once she became Natureboy's wife by force. 1 minute he was dancing with his daughter and then the next minute he's hard, and Velvet is the one who pointed it out, but then later goes on and try to defend him. It was too many damn pedo allegations for me. It really shouldn't be any, if we're gonna be honest. Natureboy and Velvet fly to New York for a week because he had an interview with Sonetta. I don't know why Sonetta kept giving this a platform to speak out on. While out in New York, they had this day of filming a whole pilot for a TV show. It was kind of like a Big Brother-esque type of show that he was gonna do. Zoka and Solar announced that they're pregnant. He pretends to be happy, but as soon as the camera goes off, he digs in them about how that's a demon baby because the baby will be born in these Babylon streets and she got pregnant in Babylon. So that baby is a demon. Y'all are not breaking generational curses. Y'all are creating new ones while the heat is already on them. Is when Nefertiti gets arrested for stabbing her mom to death in Florida. Since she was a part of the cult at one time, everybody was saying, oh my gosh, this is what carbonation does to the folks. So the same night the July 4th incident happened with Velvet, he forced Zoka to drink alcohol while she was pregnant. He said, well, Velvet drank while she was pregnant, so you can drink too. And we know he did that because it wasn't even a lick of a possibility of that being his child. And since he was attracted to Zoka, he couldn't let her bring in Solar's baby. Let's go back. When they first started, he said drinking and smoking was bad because it wasn't of nature. Now he has them smoking and drinking because that fits his propaganda he's following at this point. He had the wives jump Malia. Tron got put in the closet for 7 days because he got drunk and tried to fight everybody. In that closet is when Tron realized, I need to get the up out of here. And this is when they was in Vegas and they all went to get eloped and married out in the Vegas streets. Janae had joined, but at this point she had left. Started talking shit about everybody, especially Zoka and Solar, because she was Solar's second wife. She was talking about how stinky Solar and Zoka's body odor was, just to turn around and go back to the cult and be with them again.
Absolutely disgusting, by the way. I almost puked.
And when they got to Mexico, he had the men and the women in 2 separate houses, but obviously he was in the house with the women. You could tell Kendra wanted to be with Natureboy so bad, but Natureboy didn't really like Kendra. Every time he made Kendra his wife, she would talk shit about Aaron. Just by the look on Aaron's face, you could tell every time she did that, he was hurt. She even went as far as to say, I gave Aaron a baby first and now I'm about to give you a baby. Another member, her name is Sarian or something like that, ended up getting sexually assaulted by Natureboy within 2 weeks of her being in the cult. It was so bad. He had her bleeding and he tore her vagina. The Velvet and Malia fight happened on the beach. After that fight happened, he made Malia kiss Velvet's feet on live and apologize to that hoe. They go to Puerto Rico again. In Puerto Rico, he makes Malia, Aya, and Efru get love tatted on their face. Zoka ends up going into labor, and unfortunately, the baby was a stillborn. And Solar said you could see from the placenta that it was damaged, and that was due to her drinking. She said that it was because the umbilical cord was wrapped around the baby's neck from one of the contractions being so strong. They went from Facebook Live, Instagram Live, now they on Bigo Live, and they're able to get away with a lot of shit. While on Bigo, another man named TKO starts beefing with Natureboy. In the middle of their beef, TKO brings Janae up on his live as they were arguing. TKO and Natureboy are the same but in different fonts. And I say it because TKO, all of the women that he had, all wanted to be in a poly relationship with him. While on the other hand, Natureboy was forcing these women to be in a poly relationship. Time went by, people started noticing Malia was losing hella weight. He ended up kicking her out and sending her home because people started complaining so much about how sickly she looked. When she got home, she found out that her organs were failing her due to a bad infection, and it came from an untreated STD. Not only that, her organs were rearranged due to all of the beatings that she was getting. This man and the women were on live laughing at her and joking about her being on her bed. He was talking about his team was too big, and that's why her organs were rearranged. So her 2-month stay in the hospital, this girl was on live with them every day, and I knew she was gonna go back. While her family was by her side, he made her cut off her family. He told her to come back to Puerto Rico, even though she was not fully healed and against doctors' wishes. He was no longer wearing hairdresses. This had bantu knots and a bandana tied around his head. Bigo had them feeling like they was rich. This was making between $20,000 and $26,000 a month off of Bigo. A stud joins the cult. I don't know why she thought joining the cult was a good idea. While they're in Puerto Rico, Velvet ends up joining another cult who live literally down the street from Carbonation. Khadijah ends up telling Natureboy, hey, Velvet and baby Eliana is down here. This is where we're located at. He comes and tries to break into the house to see his baby. They call the police on him. He got arrested, and I think like 2 or 3 other people got arrested from Carbonation. At this point, she had a restraining order against him back in America, and also she was trying to serve him to divorce him. Velvet had her daughter calling daddy. After being deported from Puerto Rico, they ended up going to Atlanta. But the first people to go to Atlanta was Natureboy and all of his wives. And as soon as he touched down, you could tell that was not going back to any foreign country. He had got his money up. He made Malia co-sign on a car with him. He started dressing like a young so he was no longer a tribal chief at this point. His new name was Three God. When he first moved to Atlanta, his sons came to stay with him, and also his older sister, Nisha. But Nisha had to get the on once he started talking to her about doing wifely duties and asking her why she wasn't attracted to him, as if that's not his blood sister. Velvet's dad, Pops, unfortunately passed away due to COVID-19 during this time, so rest in peace to Pops. The stud, he put her with a man, I forgot who she got put with, I think Caliber, but whole time on the low, she was hunching one of the other women. I think her name was Knowledge, the one she was hunching on. The stud name was Nine. Once Natureboy find out, he said, Nine, you gotta get the fuck. So now I was like, okay, cool. Knowledge said, okay, I'm gonna stay here. And immediately ran to the car, hopped in, and they made their escape. They lied so they can get the PPP loan during COVID. Not only that, he made the men go to Philly to pull bank scams with a friend of his. He definitely was on hard drugs. He off Natureboy and started talking in third person once he became Three God. And as Three God, nobody could stand up around him or over him. You had to kneel down. He was calling everybody in his property. He had the women fighting over the fountain of life, which was his peen, to see who was gonna get it that night. He had the carrying him upstairs because he ain't feel like walking. Now, at this point, he started making porn with the women and posting it on Twitter for educational purposes. In his words, Ja, which is Kendra and Aaron's son, had to be called Baby Truth because Ja meant God and Natureboy was 3 gods, so it was only one God. They were mistreating Ja so bad, especially his father Aaron. Aaron was beating this child. Malia ended up having a mental break because of Natureboy. Well, 3 God, whatever that name is, Eligio. The girls tried to jump her because she wanted to leave, and she left for a little bit but ended up coming back. Mind you, this girl is not fully healed from her organs being rearranged and having organ failure.
I'm trying to be cool, but goddamn.
He went on Sonetta TV again for another interview, and let's just say this interview as 3 God was a complete show. He became the laughing stock of the Black conscious community. And then a week later, he ended up doing a second interview with Sonetta. It was crazier than last time. Sonetta tried to put some guidelines and see if he really wanted to do the interview. He said he did, but the antics was too much. And then Eligio started disrespecting the man's wife. They ended the interview. In my opinion, Kendra was worse than Velvet because Kendra was the main person who was smacking any Natureboy was telling her to smack. Kendra would do it and do it with a smile on her face. I know a lot of people like, oh, well, Velvet is like a female Natureboy. Probably so. It's a video. He had him and some of the men of Carbonation outside in the rain, dancing and busting it open in the middle of a neighborhood. From this video, you can definitely tell he was a dancer back in his heydays because that was very flexible. He ended up letting a transgender woman named Mariah join the cult, which wasn't surprising because he had been said he was attracted to transgender women, but she ended up leaving the next morning after the live stream of her being introduced to the cult. She ended up posting a video of her, Natureboy, and a couple of the other members, by other members, men, the other men in the cults having a orgy on. By the time his first court hearing came, it was only the women, Aaron and Calibor left. So it was only 2 men out of all the men left in the cult. Solar had left because Natureboy told this man over the phone while he's in jail to go stand in the corner. As he was walking to the corner, he turned around and came to his senses and said he wasn't gonna do that, and he left the cult. He did try to get out of jail on bond because he had a rotten, decaying tooth. Yeah. But it got denied because he is a threat to society. Calibur ended up leaving despite footing the bill for the household while this locked up. He couldn't even sleep in the house. He had to sleep in the garage, in the car.
Oh, that the fuck serious?
Yeah. And he did it like a dummy. But once they got evicted, Natureboy told Kendra to take baby Ja and go back home with her family. And all of the other girls were able to rent out a room from one of his friends. He told Aaron to go find somewhere to park and sleep in the car. And that's what made Aaron come to his senses about this really don't like me. He don't with me. He only using me because I'm footing the bill. And so Aaron said, you know what? This is it. So he did set them up before he left. Solar and Janae. Solar got Janae pregnant first and Velvet pregnant around the same time. Him and Janae got together right after he left the cult. They ended up breaking up. She found out she was pregnant months later, or at least she told the world she was pregnant months later. By the time she told the world, he was already with Velvet. When him and Velvet was together, they did try to restart Combination and make him the chief of it. It didn't go nowhere, thank God. Natureboy ended up turning into a Muslim while in jail. He had Zoka and Aya try to smuggle weed and other contraband into the prison via drone. They got arrested and went to jail. Somehow, Solar started hanging out with Jack Wright, which is another loony bin. They did try to offer Natureboy a plea deal. He ain't take it, and that's why the case went to trial. Y'all know he is sentenced to life plus 10 years without the possibility of parole. So he's in jail forever. Thank God. And y'all, this is not even everything that was talked about in the Hood Horrors documentary. If you guys want to go watch it yourself, but it's very interesting from beginning to end. Yeah, we are finally done with the Natureboy saga.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Today drained me.
That man has done updates from the prison cell, but we need to leave him where he at. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn your post notification on to get notified when I upload for you guys. Follow me on all of my social medias. They are linked down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video.
I can survive in the coldest conditions. Hoes very low, they told me they spin. This is wash, soap in the dishes. I apply pressure like boa constrictors. One bitch, two bitch, old bitch, new bitch. None of y'all bitches not gon' do shit.